Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Trent Hippard from Restoration Chiropractic, and I want to thank you for making it here to this page. You've come here because you are seeking out some type of relief, whether it be from sciatica, shoulder problems, neck pain, back pain, knee pain, or some other type of condition that you've tried everything and gotten no relief. Now, here at Restoration Chiropractic, we are a certified Life by Design location. There are over 50 locations worldwide that are using this blueprint that I'm going to share with you today. Now, if you apply these principles and strategies, I'm confident that you'll start this process of getting some type of relief today. However, if you were to use these strategies and principles in a more significant way, I want to show you how this Life by Design blueprint has literally helped thousands of people with relief with their initial concern, but more importantly, going deeper and getting recovery, healing from problems and conditions that are more than just the surface layer. Truly a health transformation. First thing we need to discuss is this idea of symptoms. And most people's concept of symptoms that it's the problem. Symptoms are not the problem. That's why it's called a symptom. We've heard this language before. You've heard somebody say, oh, it's just a symptom of a real problem. And for most people, the obvious symptom is pain, but there can be other types of symptoms that can show up, such as fatigue, headaches, back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, immobility, even some weird conditions that you wouldn't even consider or think that they're related to the spine or the physical body. Symptoms are not the real problem. They're, in my experience, what I call collateral damage. Let me explain. Take the foundation of your house, and let's say that foundation ended up having a crack in it. And if it was significant enough, it would start to create a shift in that foundation. Now, over time, as that shift starts to set in, you wouldn't notice the immediate effects of that shift. But given enough time, that structure starts to shift, and you might notice some of those symptoms start to show up, such as it's harder to open and close windows, or maybe the door doesn't seem to close all the way, or let's say cracks in the drywall. And even in some extreme cases, you might notice extreme things such as pipes bursting, or even some damage to the electrical system. At this point, you may call in an expert, and they'll take a look at these systems, and they'll go to where the symptom is and take care of the symptom. But more importantly, you want to call in an expert to take a look at that structure, to identify that there's a problem at that main foundation. And until you correct that structural problem, you'll continue to repeat these symptoms over and over again. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a time and a place to take care of symptoms, patch the drywall, reframe the door, those sorts of things. But until you get to that structural base and take care of it, you'll continue to repeat these symptoms over and over again. And this is what most people experience in their health. They've repeated these chronic issues, symptoms, over and over again with very little relief. Can you imagine this with your own body? What are some of those core problems that may be affecting you, such as cracks in the drywall, not closing the door all the way, or also affecting you in ways that you have no idea about because you just don't have a clue, at least not yet. It may take another year, 5 years, or longer. This is how the body works. The body is really amazing at adapting to situations that it's in. But when it's overloaded, over and over again, when it accumulates stress, this eventually creates for a body that cannot adapt well. You might notice these changes as they start to show up. You need to address the deeper issue. Ideally, sooner is better, and later is less ideal, but it's better than not addressing this at all. Back to the house. The foundation is the core problem. Everything else is what we call collateral damage. What are some potential core problems with your body, and what are some of those solutions? Let's talk about the ones that are going to be more obvious for you, and I'll give you some solutions to that. Number one is movement. There's no way around this. Your body is designed for movement, and you need to be moving. You may think that hey, I don't need to have an exercise program or go to the gym, and both are fine, but you need to follow through with some type of movement program. It doesn't have to be in a gym. It doesn't have to be something where you pay hundreds of dollars a month, but you need to be following through with some type of movement. The body, the spine was made to move. Simple action step number one, we need to create more movement for the spine. In fact, I'll share a bonus with you. I'll put a video down here available for you to see what just some of those movements are. These will take you through movements of the spine just like we do in our blueprint. Now, number two, you need to build strength in your body. This doesn't have to be in a gym, but it could be, but you need to start building more strength within your body. There are specific spinal rehabilitation exercises that you can do just with this. And the great thing about this is you don't even have to leave your home. You can do them every day and they're gonna have a huge impact and benefit for you. So that's core problem number one, movement. Core problem number two is diet or nutrition. You might be thinking, well, what does diet or nutrition have to do with my sciatica, my shoulder problem, or even let's say your kid that's on the spectrum disorder? It has a lot to do with it. Now, if we're eating foods that are not highly nutritious or nutrient dense, they're increasing inflammation in the body and lead to deficiencies as well. This chronic inflammation in a body that's already damaged is going to add basically fuel to the fire and creating the problem to get worse and worse over time. When repairing your body, we need to start by consuming more real food. It's a simple step, but the majority of people today are not consuming enough real food. So what does real food look like? Real food is without a bunch of ingredients. As simply put, a carrot, an apple, a steak. Real food from real living things. The more nutrient-dense foods that we eat and better combinations of good quality protein, good healthy fats, it helps aid the body in recovery and healing of itself. Now, core problem number three is how you think. This part may be just like nutrition. How does this play into my sciatica or my kid with behavioral disorders or digestive problems? And it plays a big role. When you look at the evidence-based research, those who have a negative mind or suffer from anxiety or depression, which is a big majority of the population, have more pain or experience more pain. How you perceive your reality is a big part of that. There's some things and action steps that you can take, simply as being grateful in the challenging times, helping or volunteering with someone or a bigger cause that's bigger than yourself. These are all laid out in our Think by Design blueprint that we give to our patients to help them to improve their psychological fitness. Lastly, what I want to focus on the rest of this training video today is your spine. And you may have clicked and saw get relief from your spinal problem or spinal health problem and thought to yourself, well, what does my spine have to do with my health? A lot of people think that if they don't have a pain here or somewhere that they feel, that they don't think that their spine has anything to do with their health. But your spine is very much like an organ, just like your teeth. Your teeth need to be cared for, especially if there's a structural problem that needs to be corrected. You get that, the spine is no different. There's a unique makeup of your spine. So let's go through the anatomy of the spine and talk about what a potential core problem looks like. Now, your spine has four main curves, and these curves are there to support each other. These curves make the structure of the spine healthy and strong. If you lose the curves of the spine, when you run, walk, jump, the shear forces that are supposed to be displaced through the spine evenly no longer can be and start to become weak. You can't see inside of the structure of the spine is the most delicate and vital component of your health. And that's the nerve system. The nerve system is comprised and made up of the brain, the brainstem, the spinal cord that sits inside the structure of the spine, and then all of these branches off of the spine called spinal nerves that are connected to every cell, tissue, organ in your body, and muscles, tendons, and ligaments, but also those internal organ systems. Everything happens directly or indirectly through this informational relay system from the brain to the body. This is your health informational highway, if you will. Majority of your health functions you don't feel. Your heartbeat, your lungs expanding, or even the functions of your liver. If we were to interrupt this system, this nervous system, interfere with it, it would change or alter this informational highway. You may experience this in some cases as pain, but more importantly, it may be creating a core problem. You might be feeling pain or symptoms, but more importantly, it may be creating a core problem that you don't feel. Take, for example, a tooth cavity. Most people know that you can have a cavity without a symptom showing up, and the damage that occurs over time. You can have it for weeks, months, or years. If this isn't addressed right away, no different than, let's say, you haven't exercised for many years. You may not notice the effects right away, but eventually they start to show up down the road. The same is true for your spine and your nerve system. One of those changes is the spine starts to lose its shape. When the structure changes and loses its shape, the spine then starts to become weak. As it weakens, it starts to collapse upon itself, no longer able to support itself. The body then tries to adapt, laying down new bone structure. This new bone structure is the body's way of trying to stabilize the already weakened spine. When we look at the degeneration process, you might have been told or heard that, oh, it's just because you're getting older. But I asked the question, what about the joints of the vertebrae above or below that section? Why aren't those involved as well? And the reason is, it's not because you're getting older, it's because that there's a problem. The body's adapted to the loss of curve by trying to stabilize it with the new bone structure. This is the body's best way to adapt to the given situation. And so the real solution is to correct these problems earlier and not let them to get to that point. If you're already at that point, your next step is to correct this problem so that it slows it or stops it from getting worse. Now, how do we do that? Now, this is where the fundamental difference is with a corrective chiropractor. As a corrective chiropractor, our focus is on the spine and the nerve system, looking for a core problem, measuring a core problem, analyzing the core problem, correcting the core problem, and then managing it. Now, that doesn't mean that traditional chiropractors aren't wonderful and great. And I think there's a time and a place for those. And we have some wonderful traditional chiropractors in our community. But as a corrective chiropractor, we start with testing. I feel to see is to know, to have objective measurements to first, number one, identify if there's even a problem, a correctable problem at that. And then number two, if applying our intervention or our Life by Design blueprint will be or have an impact. Of course, I'd love to see people get relief. And of course, you'll see symptomatic changes. But how do we know that the underlying problem is changing if we haven't measured it and if we haven't already assessed the problem? So following a complimentary case review, which is an opportunity for every potential patient to sit down and speak with me. In speaking with you, we then can learn about your history, your case, and any physical or traumatic stressors that have impacted your spine and your nerve system over time. Once we're on the same page, the next step is what we call our neurostructural examination process. The neurostructural examination is paramount. This helps us to identify two major components. Number one, structure. Identifying and looking at the structure of the spine, identifying a core problem, it's all about structure. Number two, baseline functional tests. These are baseline functional tests that help us relate back to the functioning of the nerve system. Simple things like a squat test, a grip strength test, plank test. So if we do accept your case, we do find a core problem, we'll start making corrections. Then we'll be able to monitor the changes of the spine and the nerve system, but also with functional markers that you may not even consider. It's not uncommon for patients to go through the corrective care period and retest and see a change in their grip strength, how strong their body becomes, in addition to all the other subjective findings that they report back. And this may be that they're feeling better or that they notice that they're functioning better. The list goes on and on. At the end of the day, the most important piece is that you get some type of relief and that we help you solve the problem that's affecting you in ways both you may feel, but more importantly in ways you have no idea about. Should we be on the same page that we're able to work with you, to accept your case, and to help you to apply these principles, our team would love to be able to do that for you and help you get the results that you want. I will say that we have a fantastic practice. We have what's called a waitlist practice. So whenever you're ready and you'd like to go through a complimentary case review, go ahead and click the link below and schedule your time with me. After reviewing your case, if myself or our team identifies that we cannot accept your case, we will send you in the direction that is most helpful and right for you. From everyone here at Restoration Chiropractic, please remember, when it comes to your health, you're worth it.